Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling emotionally exhausted, like someone just drained your energy without lifting a finger? Maybe it was a backhanded compliment that lingered in your mind for hours. Or perhaps it was the way someone twisted your words until you started doubting yourself. Now here's the bigger question. What the smartest move isn't cutting toxic people out, but becoming emotionally immune to their chaos? If that idea resonates with you, hit that like button. Share this message with someone who needs it, and make sure to subscribe for more insights to help you grow stronger and protect your peace. Let's dive in. Understanding toxic people. Toxic people don't just bring negativity into your life. They live in it. It's not just something they occasionally tap into. It's their comfort zone. For them, drama is like oxygen. They feed on chaos, conflict, and control. And most importantly, they need a reaction from you to survive. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people don't talk about. Toxic people can only affect you if you give them the power to. That might sound harsh. You might be thinking, but I didn't ask to be treated this way. I didn't invite this negativity into my life. And you're right. You didn't choose it. But now that it's here, you do get to choose how you respond to it. Let's break this down. Toxicity isn't always loud. When we think of toxic people, our minds often go to someone who yells, insults, or blatantly disrespects others. But sometimes toxicity is quiet. It's the co-worker who subtly undermines your confidence. It's a friend who always makes things about themselves and leaves you feeling unseen. It's a family member who constantly guilt trips you, making you feel responsible for their emotions. Toxic behavior wears many masks, and one of its most dangerous traits is subtlety. Because the more subtle it is, the easier it is for you to question yourself instead of the behavior. You ask, am I being too sensitive? Maybe they didn't mean it that way. Should I just let it go? And while grace and forgiveness are powerful tools, constant self-doubt is not. Toxic individuals often rely on emotional manipulation to keep control. They know exactly what buttons to press. They know when to guilt you, when to flatter you, and when to withhold affection or approval. And over time, this manipulation can wear you down, making you feel like you're a problem, even when you're not. Think about it. How many times have you apologized just to keep the peace, even when you knew deep down you were right? How often have you suppressed your feelings because you were afraid of their reaction? That's not peace. That's emotional captivity. Here's where things shift. Toxic people don't have magic powers. They don't control the universe. What they do control, if you let them, is your emotional state. They bait you. They provoke you. They want you to explode, overreact, or break down. Because every time you do, it confirms to them that they still have influence over you. But what happens when you don't react? What happens when you stay calm, grounded, and unfazed? You take away their power. You become unpredictable to them. And that terrifies toxic people, because they can't control what they can't provoke. You are not responsible for fixing them. One of the biggest emotional traps we fall into is thinking that we can help toxic people change. We believe that if we love them harder, explain things better, or just stay patient enough, they'll eventually see the light. But here's the harsh reality. Change doesn't come from your effort. It comes from their decision. And many toxic individuals have no intention of changing because their behavior works for them. It keeps them in control. It feeds their ego. It protects their fragile sense of self-worth. You are not a therapist. You are not their emotional punching bag. Your role is not to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. So what's the smartest way to deal with toxic people? It's not screaming back. It's not writing them a 10-paragraph message explaining how they hurt you. It's not begging for closure or waiting for an apology that will never come. The real power move is mastering yourself. It's choosing emotional discipline over chaos. It's refusing to let someone else dictate how you feel about yourself. It's knowing your worth so deeply that someone else's dysfunction no longer shakes your peace. Toxic people lose their influence the moment you realize you don't need their validation, approval, or attention. You don't need to cut them off in a dramatic fashion. You just need to stop feeding them with your energy. Be unbothered. Be steady. Be free. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because protecting your peace is not just a reaction, It's a revolution. Non-reactivity is power. Let's paint the picture clearly. Someone lashes out at you, maybe in front of others, maybe in private. They throw words like weapons, hoping for a spark, a reaction, a response they can use to either justify their behavior or paint you as unstable. But instead of reacting, you give them something far more powerful. Nothing. No raised voice. No defensive explanations. No emotional outburst. Just calm, composure, silence. And in that silence, something incredible happens. You don't lose power. You gain it. Because here's what most people don't understand. Toxic individuals need your reaction like a fire needs oxygen. They're not fueled by truth, respect, or logic. They're fueled by emotional chaos. Your chaos. They thrive on drama because it gives them a sense of control, and the second you feed into it, even if you're just offending yourself, you're handing them the reins. But the moment you choose silence, the moment you choose not to engage, not to argue, not to take the bait, you starve them of the very thing they need to feel relevant in your life. Non-reactivity doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean you're letting someone walk all over you. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It means you're so centered in your worth that someone else's negativity cannot shake you. It means you've mastered yourself to the point where you don't let someone else's immaturity pull you out of character. Think about how much strength it takes to remain calm when you're being disrespected, to not react when someone is trying to push your buttons, to choose peace when chaos is knocking at your door. That's not passive. That's powerful. That's the kind of discipline that makes you untouchable. Because here's the truth. When you stop giving toxic people the emotional fuel they crave, you strip them of their influence. They can't manipulate what they can't disturb. They can't control what they can't provoke. And they certainly can't win a war you refuse to fight. Breaking the cycle. Here's something we often overlook. Toxic cycles aren't just created by the person causing the chaos. They're maintained by us. When we react, when we stay emotionally entangled, and when we keep replaying the scenario in our minds over and over again. The real danger isn't just in the words they speak or the things they do. The real danger is what happens after. When we allow their actions to take up space in our head long after the moment has passed. You might not realize it, but every time you replay that argument in your mind, every time you think about what you should have said, every time you rehearse your pain or dwell in their disrespect, you're letting them win. You're letting them live rent-free in your thoughts, draining your energy, distracting your focus, and stealing your peace. But you have a choice. You don't need to respond. You don't need to explain your side of the story to everyone. You don't even need to win the argument, because the real victory comes when they no longer have access to your emotions, when they no longer have the ability to throw off your mood or make you question your value. That's how you break the cycle, not by fighting harder, but by detaching completely. And that doesn't mean you become numb or emotionally shut down. It means you become emotionally intelligent enough to choose what and who is worthy of your energy. You begin to ask better questions. Is this worth my peace? Will this matter in 5 days? 5 months? 5 years? Does this person add value to my life or drain it? Toxic people will often try to make you feel like you're the problem for pulling away. They might accuse you of being cold, distant, or selfish. That's part of the manipulation. But the truth is, removing yourself from dysfunction isn't selfish. It's self-care. It's not your job to fix broken people who refuse to acknowledge their behavior. It's not your job to keep the peace by sacrificing your own. Breaking the cycle means letting go of the need to explain yourself, letting go of the idea that closure will come from them, and most importantly, letting go of the belief that your worth is somehow tied to how well you handle being mistreated. You are allowed to walk away from anything or anyone that threatens your mental clarity. You're allowed to stop answering messages that drain your spirit. You're allowed to say nothing and still mean everything. You're allowed to take your energy back. Your peace is priceless. At the end of the day, peace isn't just the absence of conflict. It's the presence of emotional control. It's the ability to stay grounded when everything around you is trying to pull you out of character. And that level of calm, That level of detachment, that's not accidental. It's earned. It's built by choosing silence over shouting, stillness over reacting, wisdom over impulse. So, remember, you don't need to scream to be heard. You don't need to react to prove your strength. Your silence can be louder than their noise, and your peace more powerful than their chaos. If this message hit home, take a second to like, share it with someone who needs this reminder, and subscribe for more empowering content. Stay calm, stay clear, stay in control, because the one who controls their reaction controls everything. Master yourself, not them. There's a common misconception when dealing with toxic people, that in order to win, you have to somehow beat them, outsmart them, prove them wrong, get them to admit they were the problem. But here's the truth. You don't need to master them. You only need to master yourself. Your emotional discipline is your greatest weapon. It's your armor. It's your shield. Because once you've learned to control your reactions, your energy, and your focus, you become unstoppable. See, toxic people feed off imbalance. They look for emotional cracks to slip through. They want your anger, your insecurity, your need for approval. Because the moment you need something from them, they own a part of you. But when you know your worth, you stop playing their game. You no longer need their apology. You no longer crave their recognition. You stop hoping for closure from people who aren't capable of giving it. You rise, calm, confident, and detached. Not cold, but clear. Not distant, but wise. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means refusing to allow someone else's chaos to invade your peace. This is where true strength lives. Not in retaliation, not in confrontation, but in self-mastery. The person who controls their emotions controls the room. And the one who refuses to be pulled into someone else's drama, that's the real power player. Turn pain into progress. Let's be honest. Toxic people can hurt you. Their words can bruise. Their actions can betray. Their presence can leave you doubting yourself, your judgment, your value. It's okay to admit that. Pretending you're not affected doesn't make you stronger. Acknowledging the pain and transforming it does. Yes, their actions may have left scars. But scars aren't signs of weakness. They're reminders of survival. They're proof that you made it through something that was meant to break you. So instead of carrying the pain, channel it. Let the hurt teach you how to set stronger boundaries. Let the betrayal remind you what red flags you'll never ignore again. Let the silence you once feared become the peace you now protect. Turn every wound into wisdom, because pain, when processed properly, becomes your fuel. It sharpens your vision. It strengthens your character. It makes you resilient in ways you never thought possible. The goal is not to become hard and bitter. The goal is to become wise and unshakable. You've already survived the storm. Now, learn how to build from the wreckage. Ask yourself, what did this teach me about myself? What patterns will I never repeat again? How can I use this pain to push me forward instead of holding me back? The most successful people aren't the ones who avoided pain. They're the ones who grew through it. Let that be you. Here's the ultimate truth. The smartest, most liberating way to deal with toxic people is to outgrow them, not by proving them wrong, not by trying to get even, not by seeking validation or revenge, but by evolving to a place where their opinion no longer holds weight, where their presence no longer triggers you, where they no longer live in your head or control your emotional weather. That's real freedom. You don't need a dramatic goodbye. You don't need a viral comeback speech. You just need to move differently. Walk in peace. Stand in your truth. Focus so deeply on your goals, your growth, and your healing that they fade into the background of your life story. Because your growth is the proof. Your calm is the evidence. Your success is the loudest silence they'll ever hear. You don't need to shout. You don't need to justify. You don't even need to look back. Let your new life be the answer they'll never get. Let your joy be the closure they can't touch. Let your progress speak the truth your words no longer need to say. The people who once thought they could shake you will be stunned by your stillness. The ones who try to trigger, you will be confused by your peace. And the energy that once went to defending yourself now fuels your evolution. That's the final freedom. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more content that helps you stay grounded and grow stronger, because you owe it to yourself to become so calm, so confident, and so clear that no one can shake you. Not because you don't feel, not because you're pretending, but because you've mastered your inner world so completely that external chaos simply can't reach you anymore. Stay focused, stay composed, and always remember, you're not here to fix them. You're here to free yourself.